Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an absolute thriller. We're talking about a match that tested England to their absolute physical limits and honestly, birthed a brand new legend in Mexico City. I mean, this FIFA World Cup clash had literally everything. Extreme weather, historic milestones, red cards, and a total masterclass in resilience. So how exactly did England survive what might just be the most hostile, terrifying environment in World Cup history? Well, it all started with a deafening roar. Sí se puede. Yes, we can. You know, this wasn't just a chant. It was like a physical force echoing around the stadium, actively driving the home team forward. And that chant? It was absolutely terrifying because of one massive number. 80,824. The legendary Estadio Azteca was packed to the absolute brim. It created this cauldron of noise that just fueled the Mexican squad. Seriously, this wasn't just a crowd, it was a true 12th man. Now, before a single ball was even kicked, the deck was stacked heavily against the Three Lions. First off, severe weather caused a 1-hour kickoff delay. I mean, intense lightning storms. Then, you've got to factor in the punishing high altitude of Mexico City. And if that wasn't enough, the England team's sleep was completely disrupted by fans right outside their hotel, just blasting horns all through the night. It was sheer pre-match chaos. Adding to that intense pre-match narrative was veteran striker Raúl Jiménez. Having spent 8 years playing in England, he actually noted that while he knew the players, none of them are like my friends. And wow, he proved it immediately. He tested his old Premier League rival Jordan Pickford right away, drawing 2 brilliant early saves down to his left. Honestly, if not for Pickford, this whole game could have slipped away in the opening minutes. But then came 98 seconds of pure magic that completely turned the tide. Yup, 98. It took just 98 breathless seconds to completely stun that raucous 80,000-strong home crowd into sheer disbelief. Let's break down exactly how this happened. Okay, so in the 36th minute, the magic begins. Declan Rice orchestrates this beautifully flowing move, driving the ball forward. He finds Bukayo Saka out on the right wing, who expertly finds the space to tee up a cross. And waiting right at the far post, Jude Bellingham, who just heads it in from close range to break the deadlock. Then, literally in the blink of an eye, it happens again. Just 98 seconds later, Elliot Anderson and Anthony Gordon, who, by the way, was absolutely outstanding all game, win the ball high up the pitch. This kicks off a lightning-fast sequence. Gordon feeds Bellingham, who flicks a quick pass to Harry Kane. The England captain then brilliantly turns provider, crossing the ball right back for Bellingham to absolutely smash home his sensational second goal. 2-0. The Azteca was stunned silent. But of course, the shock eventually wore off. Mexico managed to halve the deficit right before halftime through Julián Quiñones, who thrashed a shot past Pickford. And the crowd's reaction? It triggered a beer-throwing celebration so wild, so incredibly intense, it literally caused the stadium press box to physically tremble. The noise was well and truly back. Which brings us to the ghosts of 1986 and some fascinating echoes of Maradona. We're talking about 2026 Jude Bellingham versus 1986 Diego Maradona. England manager Thomas Tuchel actually pointed out the poetic justice here. You see, Bellingham pulled off something at the Azteca that nobody has managed at a World Cup since Diego Maradona's infamous Hand of God brace 40 years prior. Crazy, right? By expertly timing those runs into the box, Bellingham cemented himself alongside Maradona and Gary Lineker as the only players to score twice at the Azteca in a World Cup since 1986. This was Bellingham's 3rd goal in 5 matches, which really shows exactly how Tuchel's system is enabling him to absolutely thrive in the final third. But things were about to get incredibly tense. Welcome to the second half chaos. The plot twisted violently here. In the 54th minute, Jarell Quansah was shown a really harsh VAR red card for a high tackle. 6 minutes later, Harry Kane converts a penalty to extend England's lead. But man, the relief was short-lived, because just 9 minutes after that, Raúl Jiménez converted a penalty for Mexico, mapping out this frantic, absolutely breathless 15-minute roller coaster. And get this, in an incredibly rare statistical anomaly, Harry Kane actually made history here. He became the first player on record since 1966 to both score a penalty and then concede a penalty by fouling an opponent in the exact same World Cup game. What are the odds of that? Anyway, because of that red card, one number defined the rest of the match: 10. Suddenly, England were left clinging to a narrow 3-2 lead with only 10 men. And they're up against an absolutely deafening 12th man crowd, desperately roaring for an equalizer. What followed was a 36-minute masterclass in sheer grit. John Stones shored things up at the back. Dan Burn was brought on to make it 3 center backs, while Jed Spence adapted out wide. Behind all of them, Jordan Pickford's judgment on dominating Mexico's crosses was just outstanding. They had to survive this immense pressure through a grueling 11 minutes of added time. And when that final whistle blew, they had secured what might be England's greatest away win. You know, while England has famously thrived on home soil, like winning the 1966 World Cup and reaching the Euro 2020 final at Wembley, their away victories tell a totally different story. Sure, they've had notable wins against Argentina in 2002 and the Netherlands in 2024, but nowhere have they conquered an atmosphere quite as uniquely hostile and challenging as this 2026 Mexico clash. As one analyst perfectly put it, this has to rank as one of England's finest tournament victories away from Wembley. I mean, defeating Mexico on their own turf is no small feat. Fun fact, this was only Mexico's 3rd home loss in their last 90 matches. To do that with 10 men at high altitude after severe weather delays, it is undeniably one of England's absolute finest moments on foreign soil. Surviving the Azteca trap means Thomas Tuchel's incredibly resilient squad now marches on. Up next, a massive quarterfinal showdown against Erling Haaland and Norway in Miami. They'll have to manage without the suspended Quansah, adding another layer to their ongoing defensive puzzle, but they carry the momentum of a truly historic win. That wraps up our explainer on this unbelievable match. If you enjoyed this, definitely like and subscribe for more stories. But before you head out, I've got to ask you, what do you think was the single most crucial turning point in this historic survival? Was it Bellingham's 98 seconds of magic, Pickford's massive saves, or that gritty 36-minute defensive stand? Let me know what you think. Until next time, keep learning.